Sam, I want to welcome you to the show. It is great to have you, especially on a day when we're watching Bitcoin up over 100K.
Yeah.
Sam Tabar, everyone. He is the CEO of Bit Digital, a company that is a Bitcoin miner that actually invests in Ethereum as well. So we have a lot, I think, to get into with you, Sam. But let me start with sort of your reaction to 100K and then some. Did you know this day was coming?
I feel like this day was inevitable as soon as Trump was elected president. What he did basically was unleash the crypto markets, including Bitcoin, including Ethereum, because the previous administration was very hostile to the entire crypto industry. And we had suffered on many great ways. I can get into some certain examples over the past 4 years. And with a very hostile SEC and certain politicians in the Biden administration, we're now seeing the page turn over. The pendulum is being swung the other way with people who are much more friendly towards innovation, technology, capitalism. And we see that with Trump. And when that happened, when he was confirmed to be president-elect, the crypto markets and the technology markets just unleashed. And we see that.
It was so interesting, right? Because you had the polls doing one thing, and then you had betting markets like Poly Market showing you something else entirely. And the betting markets were pretty confident that Donald Trump was going to win. It was just fascinating in and of itself, right? The spread, the difference between the two. And I think that was actually lending support to the overall markets. And the markets, I think, also were anticipating that it was going to be a Trump win, which would be a boom to capital markets and, of course, to crypto markets, too. So we've been watching this steady rise up. I remember talking to you back in September, and that was, I want to say Bitcoin was around 64,000 at that point. Now we're looking at upwards of around 100,000. Similar story in terms of Ethereum. Ethereum has just had this wild ride as well. Up and away. We can get to where it's going in a minute, but first, you mentioned something that I'm going to drill down on, because you said it's a different environment now. I mean, what has the environment been like? We know, like, for example, it was bad in China, right? China kicked out all the Bitcoin miners. I know that you guys had some operations there. You relocated them to the States, but have you run into other issues here?
Absolutely. We and my peers in the sector received letters from Senator Warren asking us many questions about our use of energy. And they were very long and intrusive questions. We had to spend a lot of time answering those questions. It was a very thankless task. And also with respect to
because she was
financial
worried that you were a drain on the grid. And I know the counter to that is actually you can turn your machines on and off, and you absorb a lot of the excess energy, right, during times that it needs to be absorbed so that you stabilize the grid.
We actually stabilize the grid. And also, for example, in our fleet, over 90% of our fleet is carbon free. That's not carbon neutral, which is very different. Carbon free. Carbon neutrality is when you use bad sources of energy and buy certificates to
Right.
offset
Yeah.
damage. So we're carbon free. We're
Wow.
actually using renewables, hydro, geothermal,
But she was in there
solar.
anyway. She wanted to make sure. What
Exactly.
else happened?
Well, I mean, it was also sometimes difficult to get a bank accounts. Even personally, as CEO of Bit Digital, I was, I was onboarding my own personal banking situation, and as soon as they found out I was CEO of a crypto company, they said, "Sorry, we
No.
can't onboard you."
Are
Yeah,
you, are you,
and
whoa, because so Mark Andreessen brought this up the other day with Joe Rogan, and he said that there were like 30 crypto. Actually, no, I think this was the Coinbase CEO who said he knew of 30 people, or maybe it was Elon Musk. Somebody was talking about 30 people that had been debanked. I've talked to friends since that aren't in the crypto sector, but are in the political sphere. They went through similar things. You're telling me that you couldn't get a bank account, at least at the first bank you went to?
I couldn't get. There were two banks that would not allow me to open up a bank account, and I have significant assets. They wouldn't allow it as soon as they found out that I was CEO of a Bitcoin mining company.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Yeah, that
gosh.
happened. It's real. That's not a conspiracy theory. I personally had that happen to me.
Whoa. So, I mean, that's a whole other thing, right? Because that's sort of big government coming in and saying, we don't like this. We don't like you. We're not going to give you access to basic necessities like a bank
It's
account.
basically it was a chokehold on the crypto industry. They were trying. It was Operation Choke Point. It's called, where they were trying to choke everybody in the sector out slowly but surely. We had to, like I said, over the past 4 years, it's been very difficult. We really welcome the new administration.
No, I bet. I bet. It's a new day, new ball game, new person in charge, surrounded by like a lot of smart people in tech, which is terrific. I mean, I look at this and say you're either embracing the future, and I know a lot of people, including a lot of viewers that are watching right now, are like, no, 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 I don't like this like crypto thing, and there's a lot of worries. And I would just say, look, we're moving forward here, and you kind of want to be front and center and own this space. To me, anyway, as a country, as opposed to allow others. I mean, I have no interest, shall we say, Sam, in becoming Europe. And we all know what Europe has done to crypto companies, and frankly, China too.
Yeah, I mean, if you even also other technology sectors, for example, AI, Europe created a bunch of rules about AI technology before they even had AI companies. Now it's basically impossible to launch an AI company in Europe as a result of an incredible amount of regulation that was caused by bureaucrats in Europe. And Europe is now known as just bureaucracy, not technology.
Yeah.
And the US was on its way towards that situation, that reality. And thank goodness there's a course correction now with respect to the upcoming Department of Governmental Efficiency,
Mm.
otherwise Doge, that's being headed by Elon Musk and others. So it's really important. And I think what happened here is really a sea change in terms of the direction that the United States was going. Because if it went towards the way of Europe, the tech sector and all innovations would have been choked out.
My gosh. My gosh. All right. So, Bitcoin, 100K and climbing. I think it's like 103 at last check. You mine it, right? Like you mine it and then you do something really special with it. And we'll get to that in a second. But what's it like mining this? How much do you mine? Like how many computers are running? Give me a sense of what that business is.
Yeah, we have tens of thousands of computers in a fleet that spans across the United States, Iceland, and some parts of Canada. And what we do is these computers are solving very complicated mathematical equations to earn a Bitcoin. And we've earned about 7,000 Bitcoins since we started our Bitcoin mining operation.
Mm-hmm.
But we do something very different at Bit Digital. We have about 27,000 Ethereums in our on our balance sheet, and we're one of, if not the largest, one of the largest proxies for ETH in the capital markets. So if people wish to express their belief in Ethereum, they tend to buy our ticker, similar to how people buy MicroStrategy for Bitcoin. People are buying Bit Digital for Ethereum, and we're one of the
Interesting.
only players that can actually do that.
So, Michael Saylor was on the program the other day and he kind of walked us through some of the things that they're doing, which are incredibly innovative. And I know you guys are doing that with Ethereum. Before we get to that, let's back up for a second. What is Ethereum? How is it different than Bitcoin?
But Bitcoin is basically digital gold. It's a store of value. That's all it is. And it's very simple because that's all it is. Ethereum is a little bit more sophisticated in the sense that it's a powerful global system where people are running programs and can move money and create new kinds of online services without the need of a middleman. You could basically program if then statements to
Mm.
move money without a middleman. That's why it's a big threat to the financial institution. Ethereum moves money and moves value without needing a middleman. I
Okay,
could
give me an
provide an example.
example. Give me an example. Because you're a former lawyer, you were at Skadden Arps, you've written lots of contracts, you've worked in the financial sector. Now you look at Ethereum. Give me an example of how Ethereum could basically make a lot of things, shall we say, obsolete.
Sure. So you mentioned contracts. So imagine I had a contract with you, and the contract says, as soon as I raise $1 million for a film that I'd like to make, you will match that. You will give me $1 million. So
Mhm.
what do I need to make that happen? I have to hire a lawyer. I have to hire an escrow agent. There has to be two bank accounts. That's a lot of people and a lot of institutions already just to execute on that contract. What does Ethereum do? Ethereum has something called smart contracts where you can simply program an if then statement. So if I raise $1 million for my film, automatically $1 million from your account comes to me automatically. No middleman, no contracts, no bank accounts, no escrow agents. You remove all of those middlemen, all that friction, and that's the power of Ethereum. So
Okay,
Bitcoin, just a,
go
just a
ahead.
spur, and Ethereum is a programmatic language where you could exchange value with no middlemen.
So I'm just thinking of how that could be applied and how we've even seen it be applied. I'm going to give Polymarket as an example because they were using Ethereum blockchain in order to, like you said, okay, I believe Donald Trump's going to win the presidency and I'm going to put a trade on that. And they were like somehow registering these trades on Ethereum and then using stable coins to settle them out. Could that actually, like, if you really think about it, could that actually be the wave of the future in terms of trading and the stock market?
Absolutely.
Like, you think about all the things that go into, say, a derivatives product right now, or just simple trading, and maybe you could actually cut a lot of that out if you were to use something like Ethereum blockchain.
Absolutely. Ethereum can basically rewrite the entire financial system and can cut out all the lawyers, all the bankers, all the escrow agents, all the back office to get something very simply done. And that is the power of Ethereum. And so
So that's kind of
imagine, okay,
scary to the establishment.
it is scary. It's one of the reasons why the establishment was very uncomfortable with this technology. They did not want crypto because they understood, especially Ethereum, they understood that this could replace their jobs. Basically, the financial system thrives on friction. What do I mean by friction? Whenever you move something from A to B, it takes out a little bit from the top. And there are a lot of people, lawyers and bankers and escrow agents and so on, that take a little bit from the top when you're trying to move money from A to B. With Ethereum, all that is cut out with a simple programmatic language. And when you have that, of course, that's going to be a threat to the financial institutions of the world.
Okay, so here's another question. What about the programmers themselves? So, sure, okay, use the movie example. I'm going to raise $1 million for the movie, and we have some kind of deal in place that says as soon as I hit that, you're going to kick in another million, and it all happens automatically. If I don't need the
Right.
lawyers, et cetera, I still need like a really good computer programmer, don't I?
Well, it's not that complicated, but if I were a young person, I would certainly not go to law school. I would learn the Ethereum language called Solidity because that's the future. And so,
That's
you're going to have a
so
law.
mind blowing. I mean, think that. But you
I
want
would,
you want the law school background so that you know how to write the law into the code, maybe.
sure,
Maybe law
absolutely.
schools need to be teaching the Ethereum language too.
That's right. But the Ethereum language is far more simple than learning 1,000 or 40,000 rules and regulations out there and how to apply them and going to a court and drafting the contracts. Ethereum is much more simple than that. And that's why it's spreading to lawyers and bankers. By the way, I am a lawyer, I am a banker. When Ethereum was invented and I found out the power of Ethereum, I immediately co founded an Ethereum company that did very well, ended up selling it. I basically abandoned my industries as lawyers and bankers because I know that in the future, these industries are going to be severely disrupted by Ethereum.
Amazing, amazing. Is there a hard wallet for Ethereum like there is Bitcoin?
There is, absolutely. You could use a ledger. These are ledgers. You just program it to, you just plug it to your laptop. In fact, you could
Whoa.
carry
Okay,
all
wait. Hold that up again. Let me see if I can get a full shot here. Wow. What is that? That's the ledger.
Ledger. You basically it's like a cold wallet. You plug it into your laptop, so USB-C, the same connection you use for an iPhone, and you could store all your crypto in here, all your Bitcoin. You could even store billions and billions of dollars of Bitcoin or Ethereum on a ledger without the need of a bank or a lawyer or what have you. And you could have it all in here, and you have what's called a basically a password, these special passwords to access it. And
Hmm.
once you access it on your laptop, you could transfer value, whether it's Ethereum or Bitcoin, to another cold wallet. And that's very threatening for banks because I'm basically moving value from one person to the
Without the
other
bank.
without banks. And that's the power of this
So the
technology. And
FDIC doesn't like this, the, banking committees, like, I don't know, like some of them seem like they're coming around, right? We got a new head of the SEC and we've got Howard Lutnick as Commerce Secretary. So there's people there that I think, and obviously Trump is president, there are people in charge now that are going to represent a very different viewpoint when it comes to all this.
they're embracing technology. There was a time before cars were invented, there was a huge industry about horse chariots and horse carriages.
Yeah.
Imagine, that industry was threatened when the Model T Ford was invented. And I mean, imagine a country we were living in where they were just against the car industry because they were trying to save the horse chariot industry. That was basically what was going on with the Biden administration.
Well, and it feels
So,
like that's what was going on with, I mean, the fact that you couldn't get a bank account, for example, and that your colleagues
correct.
couldn't get bank accounts, and that this was
Right.
just such a miserable, like, force to run into in terms of the regulation. I think back to the date, like 12 years ago, and Russ Ulbricht, right, was Silk Road, and the FBI, I think they put him away for life, right? And it's expected he'll get out now. And Charlie Shrem's another guy I knew, 23-year-old kid who was all over this space, and he wound up in jail. I mean, it was like, what's going on? Like, these are creative people that are coming up with new solutions, but because they don't fit within the system, they're going to jail.
No, not just fit within the system, but they were basically playing with a new system that can replace the old system, and that's why legacy finance was threatened, and the government was doing their bidding.
Amazing. Amazing. Is Kamala Harris even came out with her whole plan, and part of that plan was to regulate crypto more. What did that say to you? Like, they're going to regulate crypto more. Like, what would that have meant in your view if she had won, if Elizabeth Warren had gotten her way?
It would have been 4 years of more famine, and a lot of people would have died. I don't think people could have. A lot of companies and
Yeah.
these young people who are embracing this technology and trying to move it forward, there's just only so much pain you can take.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's pretty wild. I mean, it's exciting. You have been compared to Michael Saylor in a way because Michael Saylor with MicroStrategy is out there buying up Bitcoin and basically creating derivatives products, if you would, so that people can trade Bitcoin more aggressively, less aggressively, et cetera. You're doing the same with Ethereum. So I guess are you going to get to that point? Like, I know a lot of people buy your stock as a proxy for Ethereum, but are you also going to be at the point where you think you're sort of creating this treasury of Ethereum products, or is that distant future type stuff?
That's something that we're very very seriously considering, and we are using the MicroStrategy playbook very in the short term, in the near term future. But in the meantime, I think we have one of the largest ETH stacks on our balance sheet, and we're
Yeah.
able to stake the ETH. What I mean by staking the ETH is that we're able to capture a yield on the ETH, and there are ETH ETFs out there that cannot stake. We can.
Hmm.
So that's a great legal loophole that we've been able to capitalize on, and that's one of the main reasons why people buy our ticker because they're able to get exposure not just to Ethereum but to
Remind us of
staking
your
it
ticker.
at BTBT on
BTBT.
Nasdaq.
Okay, BTBT. So really interesting. What do you think happens? Like, okay, we're at the beginning of something. Trump hasn't even come into office. They're just naming people to be part of the administration. Where does this go? Like any sense of where Ether's heading, where Bitcoin's heading, what the world's going to look like in 3 or 4 years?
Well, January 20th isn't even here, and things are already happening very quickly. And the crypto markets and the capital markets are reflecting that hope. And I think that hope is based on, like you said, they're very smart, forward-thinking people. The SEC chairman has been named. Thank goodness that Gary Gensler is leaving. And there's going to be a lot of people in the administration who actually understand this technology. I'm not sure if President Biden ever understood
Oh,
this technology.
I'm betting he
Or if
didn't. I'm betting. No, but I think here's what I'm going to say about Trump. I mean, he's a very curious, inquisitive guy. And if there's something he doesn't understand, he'll ask a zillion questions until he feels like he can understand it. And I think that, this really piqued his interest. And I think it's obviously front and center for a lot of people that are around him. And so you got to be open, right? Like you can't be closed. I realize like sometimes we just want to shut stuff out, but I love it. Like the technological boom we're going through is to me amazing. Like we're going to see things in our lifetime that are just unimaginable. I mean, already, like, my kids are like, wait, really, Mom? You only had 3 channels as a kid and you had to get up and change the channel? And I'm like, yep. And there were bunny ears. You had to you couldn't get the signal in. They're like, whoa. They don't even understand cable. Like, Sam, they are relieved I'm on YouTube now. They're like, gee, Mom, we kind of felt bad for you. They didn't know where I was. Now they know.
I think the next 4 years is going to be one of the most exciting periods in a generation. And I'm really looking forward to January 20th coming around. It's not that I'm political. It's just that it's time to embrace new technologies. It's time to turn the page on an era where there was just this sense of government that was just being too intrusive in our lives.
On everything. On
Yeah.
everything. On everything.
It just got to be too much.
Sam, it is so good to see you. I hope that you come back because there's so much more to talk with you about. I'm glad to have you here on such an important day, a special day. Sam Tabar, who is the CEO of Bit Digital, BTBT. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.